Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah. See, if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better life. Know that love and joy and peace is one in all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. Your energy. That's right. Only you can make the change. Share your energy. Shine so bright from darkness to from darkness to light. Yeah, and you'll find your way out. Yeah. Oh, it won't seem way out. Yeah. The power of God will flow through you from way out.
We're not hearing her.
I'm on mute. Okay. Welcome to the show, Alchemizing Energy. I'm your host, DJ Genesis. I'm back at it once again. Today, I'm so excited to bring special guest, Baba O. Oba Okikifa Falade is initiated to the mysteries of Ifa, Obatala, Dambala, Shango, Obaluaye, Egbe, and Oshun. He is a crown Aluguna, Omilere, USA Chief Warrior Priest, born with strong psychic abilities and trained in the Isheshe traditions of Ifa. He offers deeply powerful and insightful spiritual consultations and divinations that stir the soul. He's able to channel ancestors and spiritual guides, Egbe, to give you the clarity you need to move forward. Oloye Ayele Kumari, Chief Abiye Ayele Kumari, is a world-renowned author of several books, a full-time Ifa, Olorisha, Ifa, Orisha priestess, a professor, traditional healer, and spiritual Ifa, life coach. She was crowned Oba Binrin, Olokun Omilere, Queen Mother of Olokun, as well as Iya Abiye Ogboni, Iya Mode Igungun, USA, and Atun Iwa Omun Ifawuni in Ibadan, Nigeria. Today, we are so happy to have this.
You're back to mute.
I don't know how I got on mute. What part didn't they hear? With the end?
Yeah, it's just the end.
Okay, so I'm so proud to have this beautiful couple here, and they are going to be discussing Ifa and marriage. Now, in that introduction, I did not give the full title of Oba, so I wanted to at least give his full title because I was reading it from your website, so I wanted to give the correct title.
I don't even think the website's been updated.
It hasn't.
So his title is Aare-Oba Ogboni of the United States.
Okay. So I wanted to just say Ibaru, Ibuye, Iboshishe, and I know in Isheshe it's Abaru, Abuye, Aboshishe.
Abu, Aboye, Aboshishe.
Yes. So I wanted to at least give the proper greeting. Welcome to Alchemizing Energy.
Thank you.
Welcome.
He's also the Oba Egbe of the United States, Omilere.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to bring you guys on because it's a very important topic, I feel, about marriage in the Ifa tradition. Right now there's such of a big divide when it comes to male and female relationships in general. And I just wanted to kind of get your take on what marriage is like and what are the kind of tenets when it comes to marriage and even just relationships in Ifa.
Ooh, that's a loaded question. The tenets of marriage.
Yes.
And Ifa. Very good question. Do you want to start this or you want me to start?
You start.
I don't know if there is so much a tenet of marriage, so much as the tenet of how we work with one another, right? Patience is one of the number one tenets of IFA in general. And so patience is absolutely necessary. And when we say patience, it's not just waiting a long time. It is being patient with one another. It is being accepting, tolerant of your mate, yourself, your progress, and so on and so forth. So a lot of I think the thing that makes like us get along a lot is just, patience with one another. We allow each other to be what we are. We trust each other's destiny. Each one of us has an individual destiny. We have certain things that we must accomplish as a part of our soul's contract. We respect that. We honor that with one another. We take the time to work together with one another. That's a big piece of it, is respecting and honoring each other's path and what each other's path needs to look like, needs to be, our taboos, and so on. So those are things that begin the process, recognizing also that it is Ifa that brought us together, that it is um, Ifa that keeps us together. So it's not just about me and him. It's about us. It's about us with Ifa and our Arisha and our Egbe and our family and our Egungun and our extended family and so on and so forth. Marriage is a community event, not just an individual event. So in terms of that, the number one thing that I would start with in terms of that is patience, and then the other one is character. Character, how you respond to one another, your attitude, your behavior, the things you do, the things you don't do, the verbals and the nonverbals, all of those things that move into how you get along with someone, how you become compatible with someone, and so on. Do you have anything?
Um, I think that the most important tenet to have is not looking at your partner as competition, but looking at them as who they are, accepting them for who they are, their role in your life. You're both here to make each other better
Mm,
and to walk this life journey together. Not all the time you get that opportunity to walk in the presence of with people. Some were meant to be together and some are not. But when you have an opportunity to walk side by side with your partner, you have to understand that that's your Iyawo, that's your partner, and you should honor that partner. There are many exemplars in the 85 in Orisha corpuses that speaks on what happens when you're not walking in alignment with your partner. So many examples of Orisha and even Orumila when that they lost their partners due to their selfish ways and not looking at their partner as an asset, as a blessing, as something to cherish.
mm,
And I think that's something very important. You need to cherish your partner. You need to cherish your relationship. How you treat your partner is the same thing how you treat your spirit. You can't treat your spirits better than you treat your partner. You can't. And definitely if you want success.
mm.
Because the prayers for men, the prayers of that woman is going to carry you high. It's going to take you. She's the IJ. She's the bird that's carrying you. Your mother prayers got you far. Your grandmother's prayers got you far. But it's the prayers of your wife that will take you further.
You know,
Okay.
in a lot of shape, that was beautiful. Yes, that was absolutely beautiful. I think that it's interesting because we live in a very Christian society, and where marriage is looked at as kind of like you have one submitting, you have the woman being the submissive one. Is Does that exist in Ifa? Is the woman supposed to be submissive in a relationship in the Ifa religion or culture?
You want me to answer or you?
I'm gonna let you answer first this time.
All right. Um, I'm going to say no.
Good thing.
I think that we get this understanding of what submissive look like and what it is from our colonizers or our other people. right? And they don't understand the role and power of the women in our lives. Our mothers, our providers, our first our first Orishas, right? So how do you expect something so powerful to just submit its power to you? And then when you look at nature, does that happen? When you look at the cosmology of the universe, does that happen? I think the best, again, partnership is looking at each other as equal. Am I wrong? And it's not about submitting. I don't even think even in the true Judaism in the Hebrew text, it didn't say submit. It said that this person will be an asset, a help to you. That's a whole different story than somebody submitting and you supposed to be ruling over them. And now in this day and time, I don't think it's a real thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
When women can provide for themselves, women already know they can shoot just like we can. So they can protect themselves. You hear me? They're more educated, and they know how to they know conflict resolution. Other than most of us men, first thing we think of is aggression. Not putting down men, but this is what we have seen naturally in the course of the last 25 years. These are the progressions that we have seen. So you asking a woman to submit. Mm,
Submit to what?
so what is the plan? I mean, what is the plan for you to submit? Like I'd rather be a partner. I'd rather be a partner. I'd rather have this woman as my partner than submit because I don't need to rule over her. She's an individual. She can think for herself. And I need that feedback that if you can't take
It's constructive criticism.
Right.
And
or
feedback.
feedback from your partner, who then can you take it back from? If you got to deal with the real world solutions, I need somebody that can, hey, look, baby, this ain't right. You need to look at it this way. I need somebody that can close, like, what's his name said? I need somebody that can help me close a account, close on the house, not big booty and a smile. You know what I mean? I need a partner, and I think that's one of the valuable assets that you can have.
Yeah, the idea of submissiveness, I think it's misconstrued through cultural ideology and so on and so forth. There are often different roles that different partners will play, right? For us, because that's what we can speak of. Each person does what they're good at, but also what IFA says, this is what you're supposed to do, right? This is where you are. So he's good at certain things. That's what he does. I am good at certain things. That's what I do. In terms of if you're talking about roles and so on, but many things we do together. A household has many responsibilities and so on and so forth. So, we do what we need to. Either one, we have the conversation. Hey, this is gonna some things I don't think we had a conversation. we just automatically filtered into our roles. IFA also gives us advice on how to deal with your partner. What's going to help you to be successful. Hey, don't do this, right? Don't get up in her business too much. Don't be too curious. Don't, these kinds of things. So IFA will give us some advice on this is how you maximize the success in your marriage, in your relationship, and so on. We honor each other's roles. The truth is, we both love and respect one another. And that alone is not so much about the requirement of submitting, but it is the love that makes you want to, hey, let's work this out. Let's figure out how to get X, Y, and Z. When you bring respect to each other, you don't have to worry about this idea of is she submitting. So much of it right now is predicated on insecurities. The conversation is predicated on insecurities. It's predicated on insecurities regarding women who are strong or women who are assertive, who stand on their own. And a lot of times, these ideas of submission were based on a time when women legally weren't even able to function as fully respected adults. They couldn't get a bank account. They couldn't own a home. They had to be under some man in order for them to be valid in that way. And that time has passed.
Mm.
That time has passed. Women own their own properties. They have their own education. They actually can bring in their own income. It's not about income anymore, because that was another thing. The man would bring in the income and she would submit to him and he would take care of her and so on and so forth. What happens once the dynamics change and she can take care of herself financially? What kind of partnership are you going to have now? Now you got to focus on character. Now you got to focus on how you treat one another, how you respect one another in that regard. So as far as that is concerned, that's a big piece of it. When we look at some of the examples of the Orisha, and I look at like the female Orisha especially, but all Orisha, they had certain taboos. Each Orisha, they had taboos. Hey, when I enter this partnership, this is good, this is cool, but here are my taboos. Right? Here are my boundaries. These are things that you cannot cross. These are things that are established. This is something that is happening traditionally. These are things you cannot do. And as long as you honor that, as long it could be anything like, hey, don't try to humiliate me. Don't emotionally abuse me or manipulate me or otherwise. Those kinds of things. These are things that people assume should be the case, but a lot of times we miss those little things. But that, if you respect one another, if you find your partner as your friend, he is my friend. I mean, we are best friends. Look, there's nothing like a couple who are best friends.
Yeah,
We clown, we laugh, we take it serious. Whatever we do together. And we're on the same page. Those are the things that come into play. The idea of I don't think we've never had a conversation. Will you submit to me? Baby? He knows I'm opinionated. I got my opinion. Now I'm gonna respect you and listen to yours too, and then we're gonna figure out what we gonna do. But
After that. But submitting is another story. Like, we can have a conversation.
Yeah, he comes from a whole lot of women, and they are all powerful. His mama, his grandmama, his aunties, and those that came before. Ain't none of them chumps. None of them.
You guys gotta excuse me. Like, it's funny because on the mobile it looks perfect, but most people are watching this from the mobile anyway. But like on the desktop, it's like people's heads are getting cut off and everything. Please, trying to get the thing
We're
right.
Coming in.
It's like I'm like, my head. I look enormous. I look like I got a Cabbage Patch head. But it's okay.
Stop it.
I'm like all up in the screen.
You're closer to the camera than we are. That's
right. I'm just gonna zoom it out. That's all. But what I was gonna say is that y'all gotta back up a button, child, so we can see y'all. Y'all gotta back up. I'm trying to get the right image right. There we go. All right, but now your head is cut off. There we go. All right, now we can see. Now it's okay. Finally, I've been trying to figure this out this whole time. Okay, so abundance child.
I wanted to add on that, like, a lot of us come from the man is the head of the household background. So even when we got married, my mom was like, just let him be the man. And we're like, what are you talking about? She's like, the man is the head of the house. And so a lot of us come from that background. But in IFA, we have the concept of Ori. So our Oris are our own individual head. And just as, Ia said, there were certain taboos that I have, and we all honor the taboos together as a partnership and also as a family. But our Oris are definitely our authority in our relationship. And, my husband always says for everything, his answer for everything is we are one. Like when you're talking to her, you're talking to me. When you're talking to him, you're talking to, so don't try to, do any funny stuff. And we're like that with the children. We're like that with our community and the very small set of friends that we have now, because that's how we roll. And when we first came into the relationship, however, some of the elders, and I come from a very strong matriarchy, but they still have been holding on to the, the man. And still my mom slips up every once in a while and he'd be like,
Partnership.
it's a partnership. Like we're not rolling like that old school type of way. Like, how did that work out for y'all? Because a lot of y'all ended up in divorce. Like I was mostly raised by women, but they still are holding on to that. So I think, sis, that's where that submission comes in. That I think people are thinking about, because we're still holding on to those old narratives of the man is the head of the house. The man is the representative of Christ. He's the Christ of the family. Well, the Christ in our family is our Ori.
Now, I wanted to see, are there any patakeys or Odu that define how a marriage should run in the Ifa religion? Like that you could probably point out.
Well, you want to start?
Where a lot went wrong in Patani,
One of the things that we do, and we use, Itan in Ibami, you said?
Ibami says,
well, I'll let you share first.
I'm gonna speak from our personal relationship. I like to speak from experience. IFA is experiential. It's things that you will experience in IFA. I can quote a lot of IFA, but I'm gonna speak on my IFA. Idimbe. Idimbe speaks on, it was this one elder woman, and and it was another guy. We'll just call him named Earl or whatever. He was a young man. He say, he's looking for a wife, right? And it was this older woman. She was looking for a husband. If I told him to not be picky about your wife, that you should throw all the she got to be young, vibrant, and all this, big hips, big booty, and all this stuff, all these little superficial things. If I say ignore that the elder woman can have many children, right? And that when you meet her, you should know that she's going to be a blessing to you. She's going to be IJ to you. So Earl, listen, right? Earl, listen. And when he met this woman, it all the Ifa said, became true. That not only did my wife bring, and when we say children, we don't mean just physical kids. We talking about great opportunities, new opportunities, and much more, right? So Ifa spoke true. The things in my life, to where I was in 2016 to where I'm at now, oh, but Orisha. What? And my living Orisha, my living IJ. If I spoke to, though she was older than me, and I could have easily been looking for Miss Thick with it, Instead, I found a goddess wrapped in a body, incarnated, that brought blessings. That helped me to align myself with my own destiny. That's Ifa incarnated. The thing about Ifa is that it just don't speak to the past, but it speaks to the future. It's a living thing. Yeah. Therefore, every life that we have, every moment is a part of your own Odu.
Yeah.
So
I think that's important to recognize. Many people are used to what I call Bible thumping, right? So now we're in the West and we've taken on Ifa. Now we like to Ifa thump, right? With Odu thump, right? And so we use a general Odu to say this is how it's supposed to be. Ifa works according to your Ori and your Odu. So what might work for one group, one person pulling an Odu and one couple pulling an Odu, it's going to be different. Their dynamic is different. So when it comes to that, you have to look at individual Odus in order for you to know. So there are stories that give light to how one might work, how one might come together, and so on. One of the things that might come to mind is when Orunmila was marrying Iyawo. right? Iyawo was the daughter of the Oba of Iwo, and everybody wanted to marry her, but nobody could deal with her, right? They had all the other Orisha tried to come, and they were like, man, we can't hang. We gonna leave that be. Orunmila, of course, did his abo, and he went to seek out Iyawo. And Iyawo means wife loosely. It means something else a little bit deeper. I'll share in a second. But that when he met her, he came to stay for a week, to get to know her and so on. She was rude. She was inconsiderate. She was disrespectful. She's talked to him any kind of way. She let him sleep on whatever. She was not hospitable. None of that. Right. And he was like, wait, what? But if I said, this is where I'm supposed to be, what's going on? Orunmila remained patient. He remained tolerant. He didn't say anything. He didn't blow up. He didn't go off. He didn't do any of those things. Instead, he was calm. At the end of that week, the Oba gave her hand in marriage, and then she became very sweet, very kind, very loving, because her job was to test him. Her job was to test his patience. Her job was to see what kind of character this person has. We can all fake the funk, right? When we're in front, we can all present a certain way. But what do you like when you're angry? What do you like when you're uncomfortable? What do you like when things don't go your way? When you're challenged and so on. What is your character like then? Because that determines the character of a husband you want. You want somebody who's going to be patient with you. You're not somebody who's just going to judge. The other ones, they judged, they became impatient, they left, they gave up, they weren't worthy. They weren't worthy. The one that is patient, the one that understands, the one that was willing to do the inner work, right? To be the husband. And even if the story were changed, to be the wife, right? To do the inner work. That is what produces the blessings and so on, for us. And that is one of the stories, one of the Itan, that speak to that. At the end, Iyawo, which means wife, really speaks about the person who came after suffering, right? Which is the testing, the challenges, and so on. And so Iyawo today, that word literally translates to wife, but it speaks to the story or one of the words that speaks to wife. Aya is the wife, but it speaks to the things that one must go through, the things that one must endure, or the character that one must have in order to be suitable for marriage.
Wow, that was beautiful. That explanation that was absolutely beautiful. I want to get an idea of how do you resolve differences in the marriage? Like when you have through IFA, do you have to pray? What do y'all do? Like if you ain't feeling it one day and he's getting on your nerves, like what do y'all do? Like, I mean, you just like y'all take a break, or what exactly? What's the like? What difference do you guys do? Do y'all let's go? Give an offering to Oshun, or like what happens in that?
I'll let them go first.
Okay.
I was laughing because I'm like, we don't have any differences. It is
we don't either.
I'm like, I don't know, because we do a lot of our work together, like whether it's cooking together and we're praying while we're cooking, we're praying when we sit down, when we go to the shrines. I never can go to anything without him being there. I could be like, yo, like I'm just doing my ori. But we do everything together. So we hear, and we're praying out loud. So we always hear our prayers. And we talk a lot. Like one of the things that we did was set boundary, or I set the boundary when we first got together. I think he got up and he got on his phone and was taking a call. He's a businessman. And I was just like, I would prefer in our relationship that after we talk to Odumare and Ori, that we speak to each other first. Let's us make this habit, and let's do the same thing when we go to bed. And we have kept that. And that's our time to cover each other in the morning and at night. If we have any issues, I don't like the way you talk. It just really hasn't happened with us. But I think because we set the boundaries early on with communication. Also, I didn't meet you at 48, but we married when I was 48. So at 48, you've had a lot of experience. Right. This wasn't my first go around. I'm not a spring chicken. I already know I'm opinionated. I'm loud. I'm right. This is my daughters. This is how I've been raising them. I'm the one who's been in IFA. So I was coming off strong, but I let him know that, like, this is how I am. That doesn't mean that I don't think that I can't be better, but this is where I'm at right now. And he had already done the inner work, and he truly loved me for who I was with all of the baggage. And I think that just covered it. Like, we really covered that before we said I do. Like, we really did. Like I said, listen, I'm the type of woman that wants to know everything. I don't want you to be thinking, like, if you're gonna be, first of all, are you monogamous, you polygamous? We had that conversation. Do you have girlfriends, women friends? You're a singer, for God's sake. Women, he be throwing himself out, in performances. And I said, I just want you to know I'd rather know before finding out from somebody else. So please discuss everything with me. I would prefer full transparency. I'm not going to be one of those, women that's just like, okay, he's the head of the household. It's whatever he wants. Everything's going to be fine. No, I need to know, who are you talking to in your DM? Why is she doing this? He didn't have a problem with it. And I don't have a problem with vice versa. So we got all of that out of the way, and all of that childish stuff really was left behind in previous relationships. We talked very much about what he didn't like in his previous relationships and what I didn't like. And it was like, I'm looking for a husband that's such and such. And we even read to each other, like, the books that we had written on what we wanted in a mate. And it was so weird that word for word, like, he was exactly what I wanted in my book that I wrote 10, 20 years ago. And I was exactly word for word what he wanted. It was almost like it's too good to be true. So we got all of that out the way. Even was talking to my mom and like, she's loud. She's opinionated. She can pop off. You could be an ignorant MF at any minute. But for some reason, when you have somebody that fully wants you to express yourself and is actually moved by you expressing yourself, you don't have a need to curse or do any of those things. Like, I was so defensive in previous relationships. So we actually don't fight. We don't argue. We really don't have any issues. And it's been 3 years now.
What's the sense of being in a committed partnership if my way of thinking is the only way that we operate? I never wanted that. I also come from a big family and strong women of strong women, very opinionated women. So you get used to that. That's something 16. You want to be around, people expressing themselves.
11 sisters, same mother, same father, 16 children.
Gotcha. The same. We don't really argue that. We have discussions, we have conversations. One of the things I will say that I learned, because we always learn, one of the things that I learned from him, when he has an issue, first you learn your partner, I learned his moods, I learned, his language, and so on and so forth. I am a communicator. He's a feeler, right? I'm an Aquarius, he's Cancer. So I have to say, baby, use your words. What's going on? What's really happening? And so, he got comfortable talking, but one of the things that he would say when he had an issue, if he had an issue, he would start off with, I love you. You are special to me. It was like he would put this whole shea butter or, to smooth it all out. He started that because that was whatever he thought I might be upset. He wanted to smooth it out beforehand. He wanted to ease that. We have to start even when we have a disagreement with, I love you. We're not at odds with one another, right? There's a situation we need to address. I love you. The other thing is not necessarily making accusatory, right? Accusatory things like you did, putting it in a situation. This is a situation. What's going on with that? You talk to each other with respect. We never raise our voices to one another ever. There's no reason to. If I can't communicate, we have it, babe. We call each other, babe. Listen, this situation was happening, da 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 da, or whatever. And what do you think about that? What was going on here? And so on. So communication was really, really important. And being able to communicate with one another. And when I say being able to, it's not just being able to talk to that person, It's being receptive to what your partner is also saying, right? And not becoming defensive, and not jumping to conclusions, and not projecting, your own fears or insecurities or inferences in what you think they trying to say or otherwise. All of that though also comes from some inner work. And the one thing that we were talking about earlier is like, we both did our own inner work before we even met. We started working on ourselves. One of his prayers is funny. She said that you each had certain things that you saw in each other. He wrote a whole inner script of the kind of woman he wanted. I didn't even know, right? He wrote this whole inner script, including in the script, it was one of the main female character was reading my book, a book that I had published, right? He had her in gold hoop earrings. I wear these classically and so on. And her name was Yeye. So, that's another name, right? I painted him 2 years before I met him. I painted me happy with this man. He was brown. He was bald headed with a goatee. He had a green dashiki on. And he had blue pants on. And I kid you not, when we met, that's exactly what he had on.
I love it.
It's exactly what we had on. And when he gave me like his Facebook or whatever, he had this whole script about this woman. And I was like, what is this? And who is this? Are you already involved with somebody? And so on. And he was like, no, that was me manifesting my wife.
Yes.
That's the woman I wanted to manifest. He didn't even know I was the author of the book that he had written into the script, right? It was one of those things. Those are the things that you synchronize, and it created that synchronicity. But when it came to, I don't know anything else.
I would say this, as someone who owns a shrine, anyone, and not just a babalawo or anything like this, the things you pray for, definitely in the partnership. When you go and you make your offerings and you make your I pray for my relationship.
Yes.
I pray. I want my relationship to continue to be sweet as honey. I want all our businesses to be prosperous for anybody that comes to us to not only just find the answers, but find the cure. You know what I mean? And that's my daily, my all the time prayer, that don't let a wedge come between me and my wife. Don't let nothing separate me and my wife. And this is my constant prayer, my constant work that I'm giving. When I'm with Oshun, that's what I'm talking about. When I'm with any of my Orisha, that's going to be, I'm not going to end that conversation with Orisha, because it's not just a prayer. This is a conversation. I'm pulling the Ire towards me. And part of my Ire is the success between me and my wife.
Yes.
So that's what I'm pulling. That's what you should be pulling when you at your shrines or your altar, praying for your relationship, making sure, hey, again, I need to fortify and protect my wife spiritually all the way around. And that's what you do as a partner, and as people who are in a couple. You pray for each other. You make
uplift one
sure
another,
you pray
empower
for
one
their
another.
Ori. You uplift their Ori. They will uplift your Ori, and that's like, Ifa and Orisha. I mean, for us, it's tangible, because this is, again, we empower ourselves. Ifa gave us, Olodumare gave us everything to empower ourselves. And we should use that.
I think that's absolutely beautiful, and hopefully I pray that one day that I will have a love as beautiful as what you guys have. It's Ashe.
Ashe. May it be so. May it be so.
May it be. And I wanted to ask the question: polygyny. People say that it is within a man's nature to have multiple women. Where does polygyny fall within IFA and also within your relationship?
Well, who talking about? Listen.
I'm like,
listen. I have too many women to take care of already.
Exactly.
I have my wife, my family ones I take care of. I got people in compounds that I'm taking care of. I got women in Yami social. What? Who has time for an extra wife?
We thank you, Baba Okikifa.
I mean, no, 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 no. I don't. If I says, I know some you told about the like, hey, only one wife. You
Yep.
know, too many wives can be a headache. Yeah,
Too-
too many wives can be a headache. You don't want the argument and fighting at home. But I look at wife in a different understanding, right? Because when you say that I'm a husband and you say is the one who's providing, who's protecting, to doing all these other things, who's being there
Mhm.
nurturing, supporting. That's a husband. But this is my wife. Even though I take care of many, this is my wife.
Mhm.
I don't. For me, I don't want another wife. I
So
don't. I don't want it. I don't, and those who, if you got the finances and you got the energy and you got the mind that can split detach from each one, and that's a lot. That's too much work. I don't like that type of work. That's too much.
I would say with regard to polygamy, now each person and each individual, their OREs and their ODUs, they may have that. I was in a polygamous situation when I was younger. I know the good, the bad, the ugly, and so on. Didn't work out clearly. But but one of the things that I found is that there's so many things in that question. One, I found out that I actually have a taboo against any multi-partner relationship, right? I was born with Odu or as Odu. There are certain markers that come when a person is born as Odu. They don't talk about that. And that particular person, women who have that energy, who have that and carry that, is taboo. It is absolutely taboo. That's one of the to be in multi-party relationships and so on. Some of the verses that have come down for Ifa and so on with regard to why Odu, it's about other wives. It's about there's certain things that particular partnership needs to be monogamous, not plural. It doesn't mean that other partnerships can't be plural, right? To each its own. But I do think that there is a cultural piece, but there is also a spiritual piece to that. One of the things that I will say for those people, because there are some polygamous couples, for a woman who is interested, who might be interested in a polygamous situation. Number one thing I always say is, hey, if you're gonna do it and you want to do it based on how it was supposed to be done, then yeah, he got to be able to provide for you. You got to start with the money. That means you got to have your own home because you also got to translate what that looks like in the 21st century.
Yeah.
He got to be able to provide a home and take care of and the finances to educate the children. We need insurance policies because in this America, only one wife counts. So that means that he needs insurance policies for everything else. So if something happens to him, it's gonna, that every wife or every family from every wife is going to at least get something from that. There's a lot more implications than just the sex. The sex is so minimal compared to everything else that needs to take place. But I don't feel that every woman is obligated to participate in such. Again, that goes back to each person having their own taboos. I've heard of women who are put in positions where they're trying to be forced to take on another wife and so on and so forth. No, 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 no. Because if that's going to happen, it has to happen through the woman. Right, because that's her household. If it's going to happen, she has to be the one to establish the relationship with the woman, and so on and so forth first. Bless his heart, he might get the benefits of it later or whatever, but she has to be the one to establish what's going to happen in this family, because if without her blessing, nothing will work. It will not work at all. But again, that piece, I believe there's a difference between the cultural expectation and the spiritual reality of a person, right? Just culturally, polygamy may be a thing. That doesn't necessarily mean it's aligned with your Ori.
Benny.
That doesn't mean it's aligned with your Ori. That doesn't mean that it is suitable for every individual in the religion. There are no general or full religion taboos in that regard. It's based on your Odu. So in that way, you know, for those that are polygamous, bless your heart. But there are also rules and regulations and in terms of how to make a functioning polygamous household work. But under no circumstances do you need to feel obligated.
I also think to the point that you teach, a lot of the things that you teach and that you talk about is that a lot of people who are bringing up polygamy nowadays, they're looking at it through a colonial lens. They're not actually looking at it from the original cosmology or the historicity of the people that they're actually studying or that they're actually trying to be. Because yeah, honestly, a lot of us are trying to not necessarily just be in the religious sense of the tradition. A lot of us think that we need to become Ghana, or we need to become Yoruba, or we need to become those things, but we're still looking at it through a colonial lens. And I also do agree, if you're in this tradition, let the Orisha, let Ifa, let your Ori guide you. I know for a fact in my Odu, when I had my first Odun, the person that I was seeing at the time, it became an issue. So I asked about it, and Ifa said, oh no, you are not to be in a polygamous relationship. And if you were or are already in a relationship, you can never be the second. So those rules were already laid down for me. And I was like, oh, hallelujah. So again, communication. Like you really do need to find out if your person is a relationship person, if your person is a polygamous person. My person happens to be a monogamous relationship person. That doesn't mean he was always like that, but I got him once he had did the work. It was like, look, abundance is enough.
Lord knows if you got a powerful woman, she's enough. So we can be a lot to many.
Yeah,
Right. Exactly.
But, you know, but it doesn't mean, like I said, it doesn't mean that they can't. It just means that you need to look at all the implications. I think when we talk about cultural, we often don't include also that a lot of other cultures, Islam is often placed greatly into Yoruba culture these days,
yeah.
right? That was not the case 500 years ago,
Mhm.
right? And so that's what I mean by you have to walk that fine balance between when we say culture now, whose culture is it?
Yeah.
And what are the understandings behind it? In Nigeria, it's legal, right? In America, it is not. But we have to be mindful when we're saying that, as Abundance mentioned, that so many people, oh, we want to be Yoruba, we want to be Yoruba. Sorry, I'm sorry, dog. I'm a little.
Look, Ogun is speaking now. I'm
Yeah.
just joking.
Hello.
Ogun said, forget about all that.
Mhm.
I want multiple wives. But I think that
Sorry.
I agree that I'm sorry.
That is hilarious.
That's
Right.
T'Challa.
I agree. I think that I wanted to bring that topic up because so many times when people think about Ifa and the Orishas, and people almost think that they have to if they have a specific Orisha, they have to pretty much mimic their lifestyle to a certain extent. So if they're Shango, they think you know what I'm saying, they gotta be this. You gotta be this Shango that's having a whole bunch of different women, and you know
The
what I'm saying.
idea of
People-
those,
Oba, Shun, and Oloye.
the idea of it's the archetypes that we give them.
Can I, that's my
Please go ahead.
Shango.
He's Eligun Shango.
Abiesio.
I don't think so. I remember when I first was told that that I needed to get initiated to Shango, and my attitude towards it was I was against it when
Yeah, he
I was
wasn't really-
fighting it because I was like, oh, Shango is this womanizer and things like that. Then I had a dream because this is what happened. I had a dream, and Baba showed up. He was like, I will show you who I am.
Mm.
I'm gonna show you who I am. And it was real stern. It was like, you know, when your daddy come and check you, like he showed up like, I'm going to show you who I am, right? Don't go by other people's stories, but I'll show you who I am. So what I've learned though is that you can look at somebody in that lifetime, and in that time, he was a king, and kings have multiple wives. They have to have multiple progenitors to select the proper heirs and other things like that. Plus, you expanded nations and things like that. We in two different times.
Yeah.
We in two different times.
Mhm.
It's the epitome of a man to be able to hold a household together,
Hmm.
to take care of his seed, to take care of the woman that he's taking care of. So, as an embodiment of Shango, you're not a womanizer.
Mhm.
You're not abusing women. You look at the embodiment of Oshun and what she brought to Shango. You look at the embodiment of Oya and what she brings to Shango and what she installed into him. All these women that you think that Shango was just married to or partnered with was they brought something to him. They made him better. They made him stronger. They helped cultivate his own Ashe, right? Exactly what your wife and your partner should be. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen. She should be able, or you as a man should be able to cultivate, to nurture, to bring out the best in your partner.
Now, I think the idea of the archetypes are very superficial when how they in terms of how they most I won't say real Shangos. Many of the men who I know are true Shangos because there's the Shangos that's a part of their nature, and then there's those that get Shango and have to initiate because that is what they must cultivate within themselves,
Yes.
right? But many of the ones that I know that tend to be like Eligun Shangos and so on, they're quiet, they're not loud, they're not boisterous, they're actually the opposite of what you always hear about with in terms of Shango. We can't live by the archetypes themselves, because it's going to show up one way or in different ways for different people. And I think that's a part of it is that you're trying to act a role rather than live your soul. You're trying to put on a show for what you think that Orisha is supposed to be based on your limited understanding of that, and that is not living authentically to begin with, right? You can't be Shango and be inauthentic,
Mm.
right? You can't be any really Orisha. You can't be in alignment with your Ori and not be authentic as long as you're trying to put on a show for someone else. um those are things that same with Oshun. There's certain women they try too hard to be what they think Oshun is. Baby, just be you. If you learn to love and accept yourself just as you are, you'll get it. She's there.
Right.
Um,
She'll
we have
show up. You'll
yeah,
see it
we've
with
got to
the
grow past that. We've got to develop spiritual maturity when it comes to understanding Orisha beyond these simplified archetypes or these simplified ideas we want to pigeonhole them into. Um, I think that was fine at a time when people were limited, when people were in captivity, when people were struggling to understand certain things. But we have also grown. We can't dismiss that. We have grown to understand things differently and beyond that, and so on. So yeah, that idea. Um, I think it's time to put it to bed. The it's time to put it to bed in that way. What we have is a need for self-control, right?
Facts.
What we have to deal with is one's own self-control, whether it's self-control of your penis or your vagina or otherwise. If you're really talking about self-control, or when you're talking about Shango, for me, when it comes to archetypes, is taking dominion over your life, and that means accountability. That means learning how to manage yourself first. You can't be king over anybody else if you can't control your own individual world. That how do you do that?
Yeah.
Self-control is a character issue. And if you don't have self-control and you don't have discipline And if you're easily moved and easily swayed by something so superficial, then how much power and personal power can you actually have? Because anybody can manipulate you with the simple things. If you can be manipulated with a booty, I don't even want you in charge of the household, for real. Because you'll wreck everything over something simple. Serious. That's a maturity issue.
That's a fact.
That's wow. That was a word. Yeah. If you were willing to risk it all, you really
You gonna risk everything for
Big booty and smile.
right for like 5 minutes.
and then justify it by saying that's just in my nature. You're not an animal.
Right.
You are not an animal. You're supposed to be working on becoming an Orisha, and that means transcending your animal nature and moving into your God nature, not settling in your animal nature where you're just functioning on instincts and testicles.
Wow.
That's the difference.
That's what
Not an animal.
we're here to become Orisha.
You're here to become an Orisha,
Here
to
become
eventually to rise, to your
evolve.
character to
You're supposed to
evolve.
transcend all this stuff. Like,
Right.
yo, what we here for? If we not here to grow, what are we here for?
Yeah.
And lately, I'm not sure if you guys have been watching the news, but there's been a very huge STD outbreak in Atlanta, Houston. A lot of like the southern states seem to be like just I don't know. And so I mean, and I know you guys have children.
That's not my problem. I'm sorry.
Right, but you guys have, but no, you have kids. You have younger kids. And like, what do you tell your kids like about like you guys have kids that are probably like in that age range, or getting into that age range as a married couple, as people that have as parents. Like, what do you tell your kids? And are you concerned about? I mean, you're married, so are you even concerned about it? Like, it doesn't even.
At this point, what I raised my kids, I'm very open.
Right.
I have always been I've been very open and very blunt, and my kids are embarrassed when I talk to them because I keep it very, very real. I really, really do. From 10 years old on, I told my girls, I was like, baby, boys between the ages of 13 and 30, they got one thing on their mind, and that's to attain the almighty pussy. And it's not their fault. It's the testosterone. It's their biological things. That's what they're doing. And so your job is to make sure that you understand that so that you don't fall prey to the things that will get you there. You have to be wise. I teach my children to be wise, to critically think, to think about consequences. You can do anything, but you have choice and you have consequences. And whatever your choices are, you will still have, whether those are blessings or there are challenges, the consequences will also be yours. So I teach them early how to think and make choices and decisions. And I trust that part. Yep, that's right. That's absolutely right. He knows. So I don't think about that when it comes to sex. Same thing, baby. It's long-term consequences to that feel good moment. Long-term consequences, whether it's an STD or a child, or any other situations you put yourself in. I teach my daughters self-esteem so that you're not feeling like you got to use your body to attract a man. Baby, if he can't see past that, he's not the one for you. But I also think there is an epidemic. I don't think that's not something that's just within the IFA community, the sex or anything like that. I think that we live in a very superficial society and a very pleasure-driven society. And that pleasure-driven society often camouflages deep depressions, insecurities, and other things. And we look for temporary, superficial things like sex and other, manners it's another form of self-medication. Sex is another form, or entertainment sex and that kind of thing. It's another form of self-medication to overcome depression, insecurity, and so on. Those little things temporarily. So we have to deal with not just that's the symptom. We got to deal with the underlying roots behind it.
Also, this is a lifestyle. So my children are also initiated and participating and practicing the same way that I am. So they have all the tools. And the first tool is their Ori. You know, I make sure, because I have an Odu that says that I really need to make sure that I'm appeasing my Ori. So that's something that we do in this household. Like, you know, I don't care. Did you have enough shea butter? We make sure you have all the things. Like, do you have a foon? If we you know, we're all women, we're mostly women in here, so we understand the cycles. So it's like we already know what she's going through. Let's make sure she gets the tea and stuff like that. Very, very transparent about the relationships that I've had. I've had many. The sexual experiences I've had many. And I always tell my daughters to look at what they don't like in my life and the hard road that I took in my life. And these are the things that you should not do and repeat. And I think that's why that y'all came through me, because y'all don't have to go through this. So for the most part, they've been obedient. Of course, they have their own destiny and they travel their own way, but they really do know in this tradition to use the tool of appeasing their Ori, having conversations with their Ori. They all have their own IFA. They all have their own shrines. They have Egbe. So they can have conversations with spirits and beings that are not seen, but are that are very real if there's something that they can't get from me. So that's why I'm saying it's a lifestyle and we have tools. So if there's anything that they really have an issue with, IFA teaches us not to lean on our own understanding. So you have the elder in me. My mom is still alive. If they know that they're going to Atlanta, like for example, Egbe Obatala is coming up. We're gonna be participating in that because that's part of our Egbe. And if they just need to know, like, if you're going to be smoking, if you're going to be doing certain things, just know that there's a crisis going on right now. You know, make sure you're reading on just yes or no, you know, go into the bathroom and throw the shells. Like, these are things that we do. Like, people know I'll be under budget and in the grocery store throwing shells, trying to figure out how can I make this catering order. So all I'm saying is it's a lifestyle, and I teach my children and the people around me to just don't let the shrines get dusty, especially your own shrine. That is you. You like really appease your Ori, have a conversation with your Ori, write down your dreams. And if you're really interested in a man, and if you remember me in Atlanta, I was just a freaknik hoe. Like, I was just experiencing all types of things because I didn't know that was the result of me being molested, you know, by my stepfather. So I was just down there looking for love and ended up conceiving a child and didn't know who the father was. So I'm really open with my children about, you don't have to do that. Like, just finding out, you know, what their issues are so they don't have to be in Atlanta and then have to come home with herpes or AIDS or anything like that. And this is just the way the world is going right now. Sweden just said sex is a sport. So we have to contend with the times. And if you're in this tradition, then most likely it's a lifestyle. So use the tools of this tradition.
You know, I'm glad that you touched on that, you know, because you said some very important things. You said, hey, I was promiscuous at one point. But it came out that, you know, hey, I was molested and this, that, the other. So much on these online groups, you know, you hear so much. First of all, they say that at a certain age, you hit some kind of wall. You know, you had Kevin Samuels. After you turn 40, you hit the wall, and no man's gonna want you. If you got children, no man's gonna want you. If you're over 40, no man's gonna want you. You got children. If you're a hoe, if you're this, no man's gonna want you. And you guys, I mean, listen.
That's not for us all. That's not for us all.
Again, it's a maturity thing.
It's a maturity thing.
Right.
IFA teaches the tradition and African spirituality all over. It teaches you want to have a relationship. And this is part of the natural tenets of blessings for you, is to have a partnership, is to have a relationship. And if, like, you know, that stuff is for
immature people
who's not trying to grow. Like when you trying to reach higher on your spiritual maturity and reach higher plateaus and platforms, you can't be controlled about your penis or your
Yeah.
vagina. You have to go beyond that.
Yeah.
We work in here. We ain't got
We
time
got
for
stuff to
that.
do. We got
Like
things to
we
people
got
to
stuff.
help
When you
heal.
really in body and spirit, you even have to be careful when and how you doing that. Cause you don't know what spirit is in this
Even with your
person
own
or this
partner.
even with your own partner. Your spirits may come and be with you, and you doing that can be a violation or a taboo. So it takes spiritual discipline,
Yeah.
and at least in our culture. And as growing adults, you need to have maturity.
Yeah.
You gotta have you
I
have
think
to
a lot of them, if you look at those, let's take Kevin Samuels, for instance, you know a tree by the fruit it bared. And the very things that he spent the last part of his career focused on, saying what was valuable and what was not, are the very things that killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He died. The very things
I
that
just
that
laugh.
that that killed him. You have to understand, what does success look like? Because I still haven't figured out why people put people who are unmarried as the marriage gurus.
Right.
How does that work? How does that work? So in terms of that, if you haven't been able to find what makes success for a marriage and how do you become that guru, and I think that's important, but it's an immaturity issue. It really, really is, because if you're 40 years old and you're still looking at superficial, you have not yet learned how to see that man or that woman in terms of their character. Baby, it's character. The pretty, the fine man, all of that's going character, how they treat you, how they're behaving towards you, how they see you, how they view you, how they function in their own lives, how they carry themselves for themselves and for them for their family. Those are the things that carry you the long way. Those superficial, you're not wife material if you have children or otherwise. Sure, there will be some people who are immature who cannot handle that, and that's okay. That's not your person, but it doesn't mean that there aren't any. I thought, as a part of like we said, our Edie Bamey, right? And that is something that is specific to each one of us. I'll tell you the story. I'm older, and Edie Bamey, one of the things when I met him, my Baba gave me my yearly reading, and he said, you got a mate coming, and there's going to be a significant difference between your ages. But you shouldn't turn him away, because that is a good partner and a destined partner for you. So I'm like, okay. So at first, me still being in one mindset, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe he's a sugar daddy, right? I'm thinking now, because I'm in my 40s, right, by now, and I've had my children and wasn't going to have any more. And so I was like, okay, I did my elbow. Let's see. I'm looking for the sugar daddy. I'm looking for somebody much older than me, and, working in my mind to accept that. Well, come to find out, I see him walking down the street in a festival, and I knew instantly. I just, Lord have mercy, there's my next husband.
Oh
I
God.
just knew it. I just knew it, right? And he heard me, whatever, he looked at me, we met eyes, but at first we kind of ignored it. He tripped, but we went around and we ended up at the same place. And I knew in that moment, the one thing, it was like we started a conversation. So how you doing? What you know about this? He had on some voodoo paraphernalia. What you know about that, right? And we just started having this conversation. One thing led to another. And the Odu that fell for me that year was Edie Bamey, right? It was Odi Agbe, right? So we met. That was the situation when he initiated Tifa. The Odu came down, and one of the Babas that was in Nigeria spoke about, your wife is your senior. He didn't know me. He just started speaking off of the Odu. Your wife is your senior. She's older than you or whatever, but that's your destined wife, and that's your blessing. Edie Bamey. We got married. That's the Odu that came down,
Oh
right?
wow.
Edie Bamey. So Edie Bamey is one of those Odus that specifically talks about the traditional expectation or idea of what a spouse is supposed to be and look like might not be the case. And still, they are your destined partner, right? They are, this is what's supposed to be, and there will be blessings that come if you can ignore the superficial. If he could be okay, being, hey, I told him when I met him, because I was working on me, and at that point I learned to accept everything I thought was a personal flaw or otherwise or something. Listen, baby, you can see I'm a big girl. I might lose weight, I might not. If I don't, but this is who I am, right? And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen because I made a decision, not because I'm needing you to, force me, pressure me, or try to, make me feel some kind of way. This is where I'm at. I might, all kinds of things that I thought that was one of my insecurities. I had a list of, listen, I am not I'm not Debbie Domestic in terms of, I ain't going to be cleaning with toothbrushes at the floorboards every Saturday. That's not going to happen. I might hire a housekeeper, but I had to put all these things down, all the things that I was insecure about that people had said, I can't have any more children. Now, if you want a child, we can work out some things. We can go to Kenya. You can go, make a baby and we can bring it back and raise it. But it's got to be done before I turn 50 because I ain't trying to be 70 years old at nobody's graduation. I had real conversations with him. I really did. I put it all on the table, baby. This is it. But I'm gonna tell you this: I'm a good woman. I'm loyal. I ain't gonna cheat on you. And anything you try to do in life, I will make it happen. I have some ashe, and I know that I have some ashe, and I know that anybody that comes into my sphere, baby, you won't fail because I ain't gonna let you. I'm going to be there. I'm going to support you. I'm going to, do. I understood not just my insecurities, but my personal power and what I also, quote unquote, brought to the table of relationships in that way. But yeah, so all of that ideas about what, oh, she got to have this and these things got to be, man, that's for an insecure, immature man or woman. That ain't got nothing to do with us. He's younger, but he is more mature than most of the men my age. He was, because when I met him, he was taking care of his mama, his aunties, his grandmama, his great grandmama, his baby mama, and I respected that. The idea that he was taking care. He didn't talk about her, he didn't put her down. That was something that made me respect him. Not this, a lot of men, they just disrespect the mothers of their children. He was always trying to be respectful of her and so on. I respected that because that said, if he can manage to do that and still co-parent and so on, that's a man that's mature. He's not sitting there trying to disrespect her, discredit her, or anything else. They had a relationship, they had a baby, it didn't work out. They still had this child to raise, and he was mature enough to keep it moving. And in that process, he makes sure she's taken care of. Now I make sure she's taken care of. Because if going back to polygamy, we might not have another wife, but I consider her almost his first wife. Even if they were never that, baby, she gave birth to your child. She always need to be taken care of. And I told him, when you listen, she always got to be taken care of because that's the mother of your child, and anything happen with her is going to affect your child. It's direct. It's direct consequence. So I'm gonna make sure she's stressed out, baby. Bring her here. She's stressed out. I'm go, pay for her to go get a massage. Take care of yourself, sis. Because we sisters, we're not enemies in this. That is a mature relationship.
I think that more talks like this need to be had. Because there's so many people talking from a frame of like they're in their 20s, even though they're in their 40s and 30s and getting older. And it's like I think people need to be more realistic about relationships in its current time, and as time goes on. People are getting older. You're not going to stay young, and you cannot approach a relationship from a framework of like a
15-year-old.
Yeah, so I love that this is such a mature conversation. And I want to do this again. This was actually Abundance Child's idea, and I thank you for that beautiful idea. And we have to do this some other more often. I know you guys got things to do. You guys are very busy people. So I don't want to keep you on too long, because I know that you guys you guys got lots of godchildren, a lot of work that you guys are healing a lot of people, healing the community. So I wanted to give everybody like some final words to that you would say, like, that you would give some final advice that you would give to a person in relationships? Also, wait, I was going to ask one last question. Being equally yoked as far as like beliefs, right? Do you think that that is very important as far as like having to kind of like find someone that practices the same spirituality as you?
Yeah.
I think, go ahead, you go first.
No. I mean, you can't limit your relationship just on your belief. It's just being aligned on all aspects of life, you know. Simply said, you know.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that you necessarily need to have the same spiritual or religion or religious practice. I do think that you need to be equally yoked in that you will help each other to evolve spiritually. Like that is a main issue. Like if this person can't be focused and their primary job in the partnership is to make sure that you become and evolve into a better version of yourself, I think that's where the equally yoked comes in. Like I said, I was in this tradition. He hadn't received a hand or any of these things, and he's very open. When I met him, he was teaching in a church. I was going to the church. They were saying Jesus, and every time they said Jesus, I was just like, Ori, like I was finding a way to understand the word, but in a way that I can get it. But it's not because he was raised, his mother was a pastor of a church, for goodness sake, So he has, and he's also, I mean, I'm speaking for you, but he's also somebody who was down in Eatonville, Georgia on the land with Dr. York. So you could see that as far as cosmology and what was more important for us was mores and values. What was more important for us was that he also has 3 children. I have 2 children. The relationships that he had with the mothers, like that being the religion, because I believe that your religion is how you show up, like the things that you do every day with religiosity, with habits and things like that. That's your religion. I think that's different than what we have been taught religion is: Judaism, Islam, ATRs. I think that how we show up for each other every day is our religion, and we always lead with love in every single language. We understand that we're not just operating off of this one dimension. We do agree that this is the marketplace and our real home is in the beyond. And once we started having those types of conversations, it was like, oh, okay, we're all saying the same thing. And because before we got married, he would be at, let's say, a Oloye ceremony, and he would be seeing Ebo done, or we would have to feed Egbe, and he would see more Ebo done. I'm like, are you okay with this? Are you going to be okay with this? He was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm willing. Where's the knife? Let me help. So yeah, he felt home. He actually cried. Like I remember the first time we put our ancestors together, like he cried. He just was like, I feel at home. He was waiting for this. But I did not let the fact that he was teaching in a church and showing up every Sunday stop me, because at first I was like, I don't know. But then we were having real conversations about what Jesus was to him and why he's doing it. And it was more political. So, yeah, I think that could get in the way, because most of us, we think that we know. And the more you know, the more you don't know. So I didn't allow that to block our relationship. And I'm glad that I did it, because I really would have lost a true helpmate. Because it's hard dealing with the animals. It's hard cleaning the shrines. And he's always the first person up. Like, I got you. What you need? You need eggs. You need this. You need that. So, and he's somebody who wasn't traditionally in the system. And now when IFA says, oh, you need this, you need that, he be for it. He's not against it. But he didn't come into this relationship like, I'm going to need a hand of IFA. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need that. So I would say, I just think that IFA is like the cream of the crop. I've said that over and over again. Mm-hmm. And IFA will tell you, you should be dealing with Christianity or Islam. And I love that aspect of Ifa, which is the divination aspect, where we can get the advice to go through the things that we're going through in the relationship. It's very confirming. It's very helpful. So for the people who are not in it, I think that you can find Ifa in all of those other so-called religions.
Yeah, I think one of the things though that I've known that Ifa will say is, I remember asking at some point, hey, why was this relationship the relationship? Because I'll sit and I'm a diviner. I'm gonna have long conversations because I want to know why. Ifa said, because your footsteps were aligned. Your footsteps were aligned. We had similar paths that we were going through, and so on. Even if we didn't know it, if I knew our destinies, he knew the work that he had to do, knew the work that I had to do, knew what was going to be necessary to complement each other in that work. So the divination does say that. I do believe in compatibility. I don't necessarily believe, and I think this is where people get confused. Practicing the same religion does not make you compatible.
Mm.
Bias, it really doesn't. Practicing the same religion may help that person to understand certain things, right? About, like, hey, in order for us to do this, we got to go sacrifice a goat. It's hard telling a Christian, baby, come over here and pray over this goat while it's helpful to have someone who has some idea, or at least respects and respects the path that you've chosen and that you're walking. But it doesn't necessarily mean full compatibility. Now, when you're at total odds, it probably can create some challenges there. But there's some things where women will get a no do and they'll say, "Oh, you have to marry a babalawo." Right? That's a big one. And I think that there's a misunderstanding with that because, back in the day, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, the babalawo was the number one most educated person in the community. They were the scientists. They were the medical doctors. She was at a certain level. The reasons why you might get it is, one, she may be at a certain level spiritually that only somebody at a high spiritual level can deal with her, can be compatible with her. Otherwise, she won't get her own growth and her own nourishment. That's one of the reasons. It could be that maybe in her destiny she may fall prey to being sick or something else or some other issue, and that he may have the wisdom and the science to help her to overcome that at that time. There are different ways, but here we are in the 21st century. And in the 21st century, there are other options to look at. So when you get that, you have to ask, what is that? And is it really that I need to marry a babalawo, or do I need to be an Ianifa? Right? Because there's marrying the babalawo, and then there's marrying Ifa. Right? And if you marry Ifa, then you have the same access now to get the healing tools and to overcome the problems and so on and so forth. So it's not necessarily required in the same way. I do think it's helpful if at least you have someone, if they have a hand of Ifa, or they have those, some things, and that you're compatible in other ways. It helps you to communicate, to understand, and so forth. Um, but not necessarily in the way that it's always presented, because you have a lot of women who are highly educated and they get this, oh, you got to marry a babalawo. And in the United States, they're few and far between to begin with. So sometimes it just means, hey, maybe he should be initiated to Ifa. Maybe he should at least have a hand of Ifa. But more importantly, the questions that I ask when I'm asking for someone else is suitable. Are they a suitable and compatible partner? Are there steps in a line? Those kinds of things. When I'm asking in terms of divination, is that the case? And if I get a verse or something that says, hey, this person needs to marry a babalawo, I'm going to go deeper into, okay, well, is it that they need to marry a specific person? Is it that their destined mate is already a babalawo? Or is it that they need to, what's the reason behind it? I'm going to go deeper into the underlying reason behind why that is coming up for them and in what way. And more often than not, it's that this person needs Ifa, and they need to be committed to Ifa, and they need to be a priest of Ifa in a way, and not necessarily just the side thing. They need to be devoted because there's a science, there's medicine that they need to have as well. So I don't know if you have any other.
I would say in some ways it matters because you want to understand each other. And the ultimate love is understanding,
Mhm.
right? And when you understand your partner, you understand, how to do things, how to function in the relationship. And yes, you're right. Some people do have that old dude that comes down and be like, okay, you need to marry a babalawo. And but that's always predicated on something. And that again, it takes further divination and understanding. They don't mean just go out there and marry a
Just marry the
babalawo.
first one out.
You know what I mean? Don't do that because
Don't go to Africa
Hey,
and get married to somebody you don't know.
anybody.
Let me just say that.
Yes,
I have to cover my eyes when people come back and say, "Oh, I married a Babalawo while I was there."
I'm like, how? You would.
I've heard stories of that. I've heard
I mean,
stories.
I'm
It's
one of those
common.
people.
I
So,
mean, it's,
yeah.
it's,
Again, you have to be in alignment. You have to make sure that this is y'all on the same path. Even as a babalawo, everybody ain't
every Babalawo ain't the same. Just like every human being is not the same.
right.
We're all different people.
So your partnership is that of with IFA and aligning yourself with your Ori and or your Orisha. And that's the important thing there. If this person working on oneself and that's we can work. If
Right.
IFA and not Ori say this is supposed to be, then let us work together. But it's not
Yeah, because he was practicing Vodun before we met. I brought him into IFA.
Oh wow! So
Mhm.
I mean, Vodun. I mean, was there that much of a difference to switch from Vodun to Ifa? Was it that much of a
He was
change?
in New Orleans Voodoo, so he was still just at the beginning. It was just me that says, "Oh no, dude, this, let me show you something." Right? And for me, we were in St. Louis. St. Louis is not an Orisha town, and a lot of people don't know very much. So the fact that he was in Voodoo in St. Louis, that in and of itself said, "Oh, he's at least in an ATR. He open." Right? And I already knew what Ifa said. Now, Ifa didn't say that he would be a babalawo or any of those things. Ifa just said he would be a suitable and compatible partner for me, right? And you built from that. So he made his own choices. He made his own decisions. I just showed him something more and something else. And I was open to, I'm still open to all types of ATR and so on, but my practice that I'm aligned with, that I work with every day, that is within the E5 Sheshe realm.
I would say that if I was one of those, I'll show you better than I can tell you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it
And
really is. I can show you better than I can tell you.
I grew up in a spiritual church all my life. I grew up with powerful women, seeing what you call it, but and having real deep spiritual experiences. But if I not only understands my world, but help me to understand the world that I knew within me that I experienced. Here's the answer to that. You ask this question, if I got an answer. And it helps me to paint, to understand my world. Right. And that was like no other thing I've ever experienced. And just it's personal. It's like I'm not worshiping an idol or something outside of me, but it's those spirits show up.
Yeah.
They do.
They make themselves known.
The covenants are real.
Yes.
They are.
The people are everything. I grew up. I studied it. I know it. I know the Bible. I know that type of stuff. But I'm experiencing everything that they even said.
Mhm.
Even in fantasy novels and things like that, I live this every day. This is real to me. You know what I mean? So it's so personal. And I'm not trying to be this big, but that's my name, Okikifa. But it's so personal. It shows me everything I need. If I Orisha, the Marisha speak, the Marisha talk, the Marisha move.
It's not theory.
It's not theory. from everything, we help people and we help people grow and what's color. And it was like, look, all you gotta do is follow. I'm obedient. I don't like spiritual ass whoopings.
Nope.
I don't like it. But
Yeah.
hey, some people gotta learn the hard way.
Yeah.
But I listen to spirit when they say do it, I'm gonna do it. And that has proven successful for me.
Yeah, IFA definitely made God tangible for me. And I do know that it is been primarily, for the most part, an oral tradition. Of course, nowadays there's a lot of things being put out and that's being written. But I also have an Odu that fell that said I had to marry a Babalawo. And what I found out through my own observation is that I had to be willing to teach and instruct. Because a lot of times we create these when we want partners, especially when you've been through a lot, you'd be like, and I need a man who got a certain amount of money, he needs to have a car, he needs to have no children, he needs this, he needs that. One of the things that I was saying was that I wanted somebody that was like knew more in IFA than I did. Well, I kind of already went down that route and I realized like I was seeking validation. So this time around, it was like, I don't feel like teaching. And IFA was like, no, you need to teach because this is somebody that isn't aligned with you. It said that IFA said that our relationship was going to be so prosperous and that he came with Ajay. So I'm up here thinking like, this how much we make in Drop Squad. I need somebody who's making that kind of thing. It wasn't any of that. And if it wasn't for IFA telling me, that the wealth that this man came with was good character.
Ashe.
When we closed Drop Squad Kitchen, I didn't even know that I wanted to be teaching and doing cooking classes and all of those types of things. It was his network that gave me the opportunity to keep Drop Squad Kitchen on the map. So we have to be careful with the language, meaning like a lot of the language that that is being interpreted through the Odus is through the lens of people who are of a different culture, a different tradition. And so when we hear things like you have to marry a Babalawo, if you don't have people who haven't had great experience or have an understanding themselves, it's going to be hard because you might be like me looking for somebody in E5 that's a Babalawo and it could be a disaster. So I just want people to keep that in mind, that interpretation is also key and looking at the fruit of the people that you're working with. Look at their lifestyles. Yeah. Like how is somebody giving you advice, but he got this Babalawo got multiple women. They're all having issues and stuff like that. Or you done heard it in the street that he's a womanizer. Like that might not be the Ile for you. So I just wanted to end with that. Like we got to be careful with our 2026 interpretations and who we're, like he said, it's very personal relationship. Even if somebody's interpreting something for you, you still have to be able to go home and work on your character and deal with those types of things. It's personal. You can't rely on like we all seem, and especially Black people, we want to have a new Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. We looking for our own Gandhi and stuff like that. That's why we have Ori. So that really helped me in my relationship with this man was understanding that I do have to be a teacher even to him. Even though I was looking for somebody to be teaching me and to really start interpreting all the Odus and things that have fell that said you have a husband coming, going back and examining it with my own lens and with my own Ori. And when I finally did that, I realized I was in the best place that I could ever be. And do not let them walk away because you're being very surface about money, about what his past looked like and the fact that he wasn't in the tradition.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially I tell people for those who are African diasporans, that sometimes Chala, shut up. Sorry, my dog is about to growl again. But those who are African diasporans, that often you will go to Africa and they will give you a reading on relationships and so on. And you have to understand that sometimes that person, that Babalawo or otherwise, they may know a lot, but they may not have any orientation to what life is like here in the United States, what women are like here in the United States, what culture is like here in the United States, whether we accept or realize that we have a certain culture, even as in the African diaspora and African American culture, that is slightly different from Nigeria. That their worldview they may not grasp it. So some of the things that they may say, um, oh, you need to marry a Babalawo, from them, that's something that is common. They don't realize it's not that common here in the United States. And it may not necessarily be that practical to marry one there, right? Especially in these times, right? You end up in these times, Nigeria is getting citizenship here. So, are you willing to move? Are you willing to do those things? And even so, is is that the way for you? So there are many things. You may not necessarily, you may check. I always advocate people getting divinations from people here as well. Because some things it's just they just have a better, or not necessarily a better, they have a wider world view of what your life is like and what the opportunities are here in the United States. That doesn't dismiss them, because ours is validated, but it is something that you need to take into consideration.
Yeah.
I would say, I tell people, I would tell them that, even if you marry a Babalawo, and this is not my teacher, I learn from her, right? I can learn from her, and we share wisdom together. But she is not my IFA, as in, like, she's not my leader.
He's not
Right?
his Alu.
And I'm not her Babalawo,
Mhm.
right? And then in that sense, like,
He has his own elders. I have my own
thank you.
elders.
We have our own elders, right?
Mhm.
And most times people they want to marry a Babalawo or Ianifa, and that
They're in
once
that
they
family.
started
He becomes the
relationships
authority
like
in
that,
his
it
family.
kind of dissolves. You start back at square zero, like that. This one cannot lead you spiritually in that matter.
Yeah, because once you have that relationship with them, you really should have separate elders, because he's not going to be able to speak objectively any longer now that he's involved, nor his family. No, so that's one of the things that I found, is that people enter a relationship. Okay, this Babalawo, he's the one that told you need to marry Babalawo. Now you're married to him, and his family is confirming it, and nobody outside of that is confirming and reading on that. And that can hem you up a lot, because they're not objective. They have their own mission, right? It could be so, it may not be so, but don't think for 1 minute his family ain't involved, because they haven't invested. Especially if you're an American, you got some money, they like, your money is their money. And so they
Right.
all invested in making sure this relationship work out, right? And it may not be in your best interest. So you have to be mindful of that. That's using wisdom and so on. You have to be mindful of that. It's not to say it's not the case, but it's saying that in a relationship, when it comes to disputes, you need an objective party. You need someone who does not have a personal interest in it, right? To make it go a certain way, to do a certain thing, to work on certain person's behalfs or otherwise, or where one person is benefiting more than the other. Having an objective divination by someone unrelated or unconnected to that particular couple, I find is really helpful and necessary in some cases, to save yourself the challenges that can come down the line. And often we don't often do that. A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not his Ianifa either. Like,
Yeah. I mean, we teach each other. We talk all the time. We learn from each other. We pop brain cells back and forth. Baby, we were talking about, different timelines and quantum physics and so on. So it's not that you don't learn from one another. It's that, if I have to go and if I ever have a problem, we haven't had that, but if I have a problem, I'm going to go and say, I need you to read on this.
exactly.
And
You know,
what do I need to do? And he's going to go separately and ask. He needs that read on.
I was going to ask, this is an interesting comment that somebody said in the comments. It says IFA without Pan-Africanism would be
Yeah,
a
I saw
blessing.
that too.
What do you think about that? Like, now that, more people are practicing Isheshe over here, you're having more kings. He's the king of America. Do you think that people are going to be able to bring more Ifa like to America versus it being having to go to Africa to get initiated and stuff like that? Or do you think that Pan Africanism can never, like, that Africa could be separate from Ifa? Like, I don't understand this comment. Why somebody would say
I understand it. And and it's because I'm not a Pan-Africanist. I'm not, like, I believe in my own Isheshe, for a lack of a better term, or and I have a great relationship. I am initiated into a Gungun, and I have a great relationship with my own personal Eguns that are indigenous to America. In fact, some of them were very upset when I initiated and even went to Africa to get initiated, when I was already told that they wanted my initiations to be here, blood, if I was going to be dealing with any blood, for it to be here in America, and that they were being overlooked. I even, I haven't promoted this, but the thing I have in the gold frame, we were overlooked. My ancestors gave me this vision of, like, this art piece to put together that says we were overlooked, meaning, like, I have been overlooking a lot of my family that are indigenous to the Americas, meaning, like, we the Chavezes are like the largest land owning people in the northeast part of the United States. And I was neglecting them and only looking at things from across the pond. So I definitely feel like IFA is universal, and just because it started, or the progenitors of the religion and the culture and the tradition was Nigeria, I think IFA is something that is universal, and we can see it in all languages, races, ethnicities. And I think Americans, I'm talking about North America, South America, all the adjoining islands, we're the ones, I feel like, that even made IFA as we know it today popular. It's what was going on in Lukumi, Santeria, Shango Baptist, Voodoo, all of those things that we were doing it over here based off of our own memory and our own spirit, and it became popular. And now we see a lot of people from Africa making a lot of money, coming over here, doing initiations, sharing things, not even necessarily sharing everything. There's a lot of scams that's going on. So I feel like people who are coming into the tradition are coming into their own. We have more people who are aging out, and you have new people, ancestors that are speaking up, like NU and Baba Okikifa, that are saying it's okay to get initiated over here. It's okay to get readings from people who are from the diaspora. So I feel like that's where that comment was going. And I think it's a breath of fresh air for a lot of us who were made to feel less than, or because we're not continental African. I know that I've had my own personal experiences in Isheshe where it's like you want to be validated because you have somebody that was continental African, that was raised that way, and so forth. But there's a lot of us that are coming up and evolving, and that are sharing our own American diasporic experience or American indigenous experience, and our voices are being heard. They're not being silenced. Because it's also showing up in our work. Like IFA is kind of like Missouri. It's like the show me state. Like you either are working well with it or you're not. Like you can't really fake your practice with the Orisha. A lot of people do, but you can't. So, and I believe that we're all from the same source. We're all from the Most High. That's one of the things that my husband, I really love, like his classes. He's like, I am in the love of all, and all love is me. I am one with all, and all is one with me. Like we can succeed as a part of the all or fail as individuals. So I really do believe that. And I feel like we're coming into our own as a part of the all in our own unique way. And we don't need to feel like we're less than in the way that we might use coconuts instead of OB. You know what I mean? We might use a different type of Afun, Cascara Sagrada, instead of the traditional Afun. We might use, Bacardi instead of gin, or Bacardi rum instead of like a gin. So yeah, I feel like it's really important that it's for those of us who want to separate ourselves from the Pan Africanist, thought. It's okay. Like I'm one of those people, and I don't feel ashamed about it because that's what the ancestors and me are saying, that we've always had IFA. We've always had IFA. Like
Yeah.
yeah, we've always had IFA. Like I have a gift of being able to read the clouds. It was nothing in any like IFA divination that was told to me. It was like by people throwing bones or doing tarot, and I, came into those gifts. And so I'm just, yeah, I'm thankful for the ATRs, but I'm also thankful for the indigenous traditional religions that are not necessarily African. And I'm also one of those people that don't believe that everything started in Africa. And that's a whole nother thing. But I feel like our time is coming.
Yeah, for me, I don't consider myself a Pan-Africanist. I consider myself more a spiritualist. I have been on a spiritual path long before I was initiated to IFA, and I have always been dedicated to that spiritual path wherever it took me, through whatever tradition, through whatever lessons. I've always seen myself as a soul inhabiting a human body, learning lessons to evolve and to grow to be my best self, in whatever form that is. So I've always taken that approach. I was in organizations, Pan African organizations, and so that those Pan African organizations I find necessary, at least in the beginning. I find purpose in everything. Um, because of our ancestral experience in captivity and hell, even in colonialism or otherwise, we've had a disconnect, and there was a need, and still is, for many of us to connect back. There was a trauma that happened ancestrally that we need healing from. There are disconnects, in one form or another, that we need to connect back to. It's fundamentally ancestral, so it's going to encompass all of those things for our healing. But then there's the Pan-Africanism as it relates to political, right? And as a spiritualist, when it comes to politics, I definitely I don't like politics. I think politics and politics and so on ends up being confining after a certain way. You can use that to say, hey, I need to open up and I need to connect back to all of who I am and my ancestors, the sum total, and so on. But once it moves into politics, politics is not about spirit. And as I said, I'm a spiritualist, so I'm about my personal destiny evolving, and I can't get caught up in politics. If you get too caught up in politics, you get caught in a limitations, and you can't expand beyond those limitations. People get stuck, and that's what I found in noticing many of the Pan African movements. You get to a point, and then they're stuck and they don't grow past that. And that's because you're using man-made logic only to get to where you think you're supposed to be going. So when you have that, it limits you. Each of us have a destiny, including Ifa, including the Arisha. They have missions they want to accomplish, and so on, that are above and beyond. Ifa's number one mission is to heal a broken world, right? That is to heal a broken world, not just one particular group, whether we like it or not,
I love
right?
that.
You can't have half healed world, right? You can't have all of us healed and the other half is crazy still, right? To heal a broken world, it means to address all the issues of the world in that regard. That is not to say that it is for everyone, but you have to also see Ifa beyond just how it is interpreted through a cultural lens. You have to know that the earth has an Ori. The earth herself has an
Yes.
Ori, right? And that the
Oh,
Irumole are not just in Africa or just in America. There's wind here in the United States. There's wind in Africa. There's wind in China. There is water here. There's water in Africa. There's water in China.
and it connects
When you
us
look at
all.
a global level, it's when you get to the point where you transcend those limitations. So I recognize Pan-Africanism as a path to begin the healing, but not the path to end it.
Yeah.
I'm,
Well said.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about Pan Africanism, but I'm gonna say this. I believe in empowerment. I believe in like
Or what?
I believe in empowerment.
Mhm.
I believe in I am one who goes to Nigeria and initiate them.
Mhm.
You get me?
Does
I'm on a
initiation.
whole look. I'm able to do initiations here. Everything that I need to learn, I'm able to bring it back here and do. I'm
Thank
not
you.
restrained like that. You know, we do work here.
We work here.
I work here. The earth responds to me here. Nature responds. The water responds to me. If you ever around me, you will feel it. You will, what's going on? The earth responds to me. She the one who called me to this throne.
Come
Right.
on now.
Onile called me through this throne.
Sure did.
It wasn't man. You get me? So
Because there's work to do
there's
here.
work to do here. Like
Thank
us uniting and healing and building our people here is what we got to do. Yes, we can do Orisha work here. Yes, we can help people find the medicines here and discover new medicines and do new things.
Mhm.
One thing, I'm not a part of no Pan Africanism, but I do belong to different organizations, and I'm so used to seeing the great things we do
Yeah.
compared to the world. Everybody then wants to copy what we do.
They do.
you. It's
We
fine.
always the trendsetters of everything.
Of everything.
I mean, you can say, and it's not forced. You get me? It ain't by conquerization or anything.
It's just natural.
It's just natural.
It's the natural ashe that we bring to
we bring
the
it.
world.
So I love Nigeria. I love Benin. I love the culture. I love seeing, oh, this is the root.
Mhm.
But I love seeing how we evolve things.
How we
Thank you.
grow.
I love seeing how from our dances, from the mono, from the Dougie to all that. That's still African dance,
Facts.
and it's the same steps, the beats, the same beats in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, you need to know the balance within yourself.
Yeah.
That once you have good teachers, once you have people who can install the good things in you, I'm blessed. I thank Yeye Alaragbo. I thank by Prince and all those who taught me this role. I thank Oloye Oba Motosho for teaching me and guiding me and showing me all these things that to empower me so I can empower them. I don't want to be a cash cow or to be, someone that subjects to people to always have to, stay in a certain place.
Yeah.
But the freedom and sovereignty that I have, I am grateful for.
Yeah.
This was great. Thank
This
you
has
so
been
much.
a powerful show. Like the words that have been spoken I'm like, it's like poetry. And you know when something is meant to be because it comes together and it flows so easily. This has been a very beautiful show.
Thank you so much for having us.
I hope the audience has learned a lot. But before we even leave and say our final word, we have to promote the businesses of the individuals on our channel. So the first up we're gonna go to is Drop Squad Kitchen. This is Abundance and her husband's business. They are vegan chefs and they own a restaurant in Dover, Delaware.
In Wilmington, Delaware.
Oh, is Dover even in Delaware?
Dover's an hour away.
Okay, in Wilmington, Delaware, called Drop Squad Kitchen. Okay, tell us a little bit about Drop Squad Kitchen for those who just. And if you guys get a chance, if you're ever in Wilmington, Delaware, please support their business. And they also, I think, don't you guys also deliver food and stuff stuff?
Like right before we came, we've switched. We're Drop Squad Institute now. Drop Squad Kitchen is the program of Drop Squad Institute, and so we are out in the community matching people's budget. If you got $100, we'll match you $100, and we will come and do a cooking class and bring samples. And for the people who don't want to learn and just want the food, we have a daily menu that's available worldwide. We ship V ribs, New Jerusalem, bacon grease, V steakums.
So it's basically you teach a person how to cook vegan food. So a person can like get you guys, and you guys will come to their house and teach them how to make this delicious looking stuff right here?
Your church, your school, your community. We just went to adults with special needs, and we taught them how to make a barbecue jerk chicken salad over kale and taught them how to make the dressings, and they loved it. That's where I was coming from before the show. So that's our new model. We really want to use our gifts that our family has. IFA says that we are a family that wakes up with a smile on our face, ready to receive the people with the blessings on their hands that have the J. You know,
for they even got bacon grease, but it's vegan bacon grease to make it taste like bacon.
Yes. So we teach people how to take their you know, that like if you're going to make potato salad, you're going to peel the potatoes. We teach people how to use the potato skins to make bacon, carrot bacon, eggplant bacon, starch bacon. Like we just have range.
But you know what? It's man, it seems like being a vegan is expensive. Like you guys like look.
So we do teach how to eat vegan on a food stamp budget. So
okay, food stamps.
How to that's a myth. You don't, you know, especially if you're making your own meats. Like, so let's say if you want to go to the store and make some seitan out of vital wheat gluten, I can get a 5-pound bag of flour for $3 and put 10 cups of water with that, wash all the starch out, use the starch water to make pancakes, and that's actually bacon. And now I have a whole loaf of meat that I can make ribs, burgers, all types of stuff. So it's really like the closer you are to the earth, the cheaper you are going to get and the healthier you're going to be. Well, but if you're going to eat Beyond Meat burgers and Impossible burgers and buy the stuff that's already in the restaurant, of course it's expensive.
And here's a question, because a lot of like, so are you using like this Impossible? Because I heard that some of those things have some type of stuff in it that's keeping it together, that's binding, the binding agent of a lot of those vegan meats to make it like vegan meatish. Like can change your DNA or something, like it has some bad.
We're not using that. We make, as I just said, we use the wash the flour method to make our own vital wheat gluten. The vital wheat gluten is the protein part of the flour, and that's what our bodies needs. We make tuna out of sunflower seeds or carrots or pumpkin seeds. We make salmon out of papaya. Like I said, we have range. I've been doing this for over 30 years now. So. Right. Before those things even existed. And I study a lot of indigenous cultures. So I learned how to make the vital wheat gluten or the seitan from studying Asian cuisines. I learned how to make tofu from studying the Asian cuisines.
Right. So listen, you guys, please go check out dropsquadkitchen.com. I want you to come and teach me how to cook some vegan.
And will.
But you know what? I have a low iron. You know, I've been like losing blood and stuff like that. So I got to figure out how to get my iron count up. But then I definitely will try to get into vegan.
Molasses, beet juice, going out in the sun, making sure that your kidneys and livers have been flushed, drinking a lot of dandelion, burdock, making sure you're drinking a lot of, for yourself, red clover, some black cohosh, ashwagandha. You know, that's what we do.
Is there a phone number that people can reach out if they want to contact you? Or is it on the website? Is the phone number to reach you on the website?
302. It's on the web. It should be all the way at the bottom.
Let's see. If you guys want to contact Abundance, if you are interested in booking her for catering, to learn how to, if you want to book her to get one of her classes to learn how to cook, her phone number is 302 985 3345, and I'll just put that up there just to contact her. You know, and please support her business. I mean, the stuff looks delicious, guys. You know, I'm hungry right now and I haven't eaten. That was
I'm not a vegan, but her food is actually very, very good.
Oh, really?
My husband was not vegan, but the food is very, very good.
I had a taboo one year of no chicken, and I had her chicken wings, her vegan wings, and I didn't miss chicken that day. That was
yeah, I mean, it looks good.
I did a phone consultation with you. Did you ever make him the fried chicken that I showed you how to make?
I don't know, but we'll get to it.
We can do another one. We could do another
Yeah,
one.
and now I have it in the back of my head, getting around
She
to it.
Cardi B. I don't cook. I don't clean. You know.
No, I didn't say I didn't cook.
I'm
I
just
just
joking. I'm just joking.
I
did.
cook. I
No,
cook. The
I
kids
got
clean.
I got that part of my arm too. That cooking arm. That little
Me
little
too.
dangly part that let them know you can cook.
I
yeah,
got
me
that.
too.
Okay, you can cook.
I
You can
got
cook.
it.
You passed the test.
It's there.
All right. So,
I'm verified.
right.
Exactly.
Okay, you passed the test. You made it. Okay. If you didn't have that, that mean you can't cook. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the business Ashe Soul. So, all
Well,
right.
let me clarify. We're not a business.
Okay,
Mhm.
not a business.
We are
Okay.
not a business. We are a priesthood. We are an Ile.
Okay.
We are not a
So-
business.
Okay. Ashe Soul is not a business.
It is not a business. No,
Oh,
it is.
okay.
It is our Ile. We are a nonprofit organization. We are a legal church in the United States. We are also a branch. We have Ogboni, which is also a legal church. So no, we're not a business in that sense. We offer membership. We're a full service Ile. We offer classes. Our classes are through Ori Institute .com. And we are a community, but no, we're not a business.
Okay. Sorry about that. But I
No,
just
it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. We
saying
also
they
make
have
music. We make music. We make Orisha music, we call Afro spiritual music. Many of us who come into Isheshe, we learn about a lot of the Orisha music from Lukumi, and that's cool. But we also get a lot of music from Nigeria. But we're African Americans. And
Yes.
there are some specific things that our immediate ancestors that we did, that we love, that we connect. We created the great music of gospel, jazz, blues, hip hop, and so on and so forth. And all of those genres are revered around the world. So what we wanted to do was to create Orisha music with our vibes, with soul, with R&B, and so on. So, and the blues and the gospel, honoring and recognizing our ancestral connection, while also honoring and recognizing the Orisha and our path, and so on and so forth. So that's one of the other things, and you can find them on anything with Ashe Soul, on any of them. Yeah, that's one. I should put some updates. the the
Songs are so
our,
good.
Yeah, one of our more recent ones is the Gospel of Orisha, so you can also find that on all the streaming sites as well. But yeah, and the classes, Ori Institute,
Our books. Yeah.
our books, we have, we educate. My job in IFA assigned me. I'm a diviner, but I am a teacher. So we
Yeah.
educate. That's what IFA said. What do you want me to do? I want you to teach. I need you to teach IFA. I
Awesome.
need you to share IFA. So I do that through books, through classes, and things of that nature. We, as a part of our organization, we have every other Sunday we go over Odu Ifa, and we have collectively as our class unpacking Odu verses and learning about Ifa that way. We have a lot of different ways that you learn. So
right. So I mean, you guys are busy. As they say, they are booked and busy. So
yeah,
imagine how hard it was to get them here, and I appreciate their time here. As you can see, they have the Ori Institute. Please go to oriinstitute.com. Let me type that in there. Oriinstitute.com.
Just
that's
like they
it.
gave me my
You just
props, I
did.
would give them their props. I've definitely taken classes. I took the women's history class, the Western one, I think like
Yeah,
2015.
African women's mysteries.
Yeah, it changed
There's
my life. It really did. I was like, she just unpacked so much that I knew, like certain things I knew intuitively, but she just unpacked so much, and it really changed me, and it gave me. It's like Bob Okikifa said, it empowered me to actually keep going.
Okay,
yeah.
you guys have a publishing institute.
We publish books.
Publish,
I publish both our own as well as others as well. Yes. We
education.
have programs that train and give priesthood training in the Sheshe. Right now, there's the IFA master class where they're going over all the 256 Odus in a year. There's Babalawo and Ifa training. There's the beginning. There's Egbe
I
and
took that
Orisha
class
training,
too.
and so on.
I
And the
took the
last,
class.
yeah, that's there's the Iami and African Women's Mysteries. That's what she was speaking about. There's a lot of different classes, and the last one, it's not on there yet because it's new, is our Ogboni website, Ogboni USA, since my husband was just appointed to be the Oba Ogboni in the United States. And that is a developing priesthood. Ogboni in and of itself. Ogboni are the priest of the earth. They are priest of Ile. And Ile is very much tied to the great mothers, to Iami. The Iami Osodonga, that's Ile, right? That is Ile, and Ile is the mother of all of the other Orisha. So being a priest in Ogboni, you're tied to the earth. These are one of the main vehicles for Iami, for the ancestral mothers. This is a traditional one that dates back more than 1,000 years. And so it's now, because of expansion, because of the the United States and the diaspora taking on their traditions, they are expanding. So we now have someone in the United States, and part of our mission is to develop Ogboni, the priesthoods, and especially what pertaining to Iyami and the Iyami priesthoods and the Iyami, the women, and the Osho, who are the male mystics and so on, bringing them together in the United States so that we can empower ourselves, heal, unite, and build. That's the mission.
Wow, that's beautiful. And okay, and hold on. So they don't have their phone number on their site, so I assume they don't want their phone number out. But I will give you
Text us.
right.
Send a message, because
Right.
we just get too much. We get too many. There's
Right.
some numbers on there, but we just get too much. It's much easier to text us. And we definitely have the ways to get messages and so on to us, rather than calling. Because if we took every call we got, we'd never get anything done, to be honest with you. We'd never get anything done. Because
Right.
everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants, I just got a quick question. And that quick question
Turn
becomes
30
a half
30
hour.
minutes.
And then you have 10 people who had quick questions that day. And so what work did you get done? 5 hours you spent. So
Right. And so is this the link to contact you guys here?
yes, that's one of the links that you can use to contact.
Right. So if you guys want
You
to
can also, those that are on Facebook, you can also find us on Facebook and message us. If you want, you can text 82314-827-4325. So that's another way to text.
So all right. So you guys can send a text if you guys have a question. You can send a text to that, or you can go to their website, Ori Institute, or you can check out their website, Ashe Soul, and that'll give you the all of their different
all of them. And for Ogboni, it's ogboniusa.org. So that's the new one. We just haven't had a chance to update.
USA. That's coming soon, right? So there's something
No,
there.
it's there. It's
there.
Okay. It's live.
Okay, cool. So please check out their website. Please support their businesses. These, not businesses, but just priesthood businesses, elays, all this. Please show your support for them, because in these times when we have so much going on, that's affecting our finances and things like that, trying to take gas prices are getting high and this, that, the other. It's good to have these type of things like veganism. There's a whole tick outbreak that's happening, and it's attacking if you get bit by it, it actually makes it so that you can't eat red meat. It's an allergy that this tick is, and for some reason these ticks are being unleashed onto farmland. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this.
No.
It's called the Lone Star tick. I did a show on it the other day. But yeah, so you have to so that's this new outbreak that's happening. I think there was only 200,000 ticks released in California. So yeah, and it's in the grass, and on top of Lyme disease, it has this other disease that it carries that makes you allergic to.
Well, we slaughtered most of our own meat, so We don't necessarily, and she's a vegan, so sometimes you also have to take into consideration what you put in and be mindful of what you bring into your body in and of itself. She's vegan, we're not, but we're definitely are very conscious of what we eat
Right.
and so on. So yeah.
So let's give some final words. I think that at this time, this
Buy
has
her
been
book.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. So let's start with you guys. Final words.
Oh,
But continue to work on oneself. You know, anything that you want to attract to yourself starts with you working on you.
Ashe.
I agree.
You don't get no better than that.
Right. And you will attract you in every situation. So just be mindful of that.
Be mindful of your the mirrors though. The mirrors.
Be mindful to your mirror. Wow. That was powerful what you just said there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the final word?
Oh, yes, that's the final word.
All right. What's your final words?
Be authentic to yourself.
Sure.
Listen to your Ori.
Sure.
Love your partner. If you're in a relationship, cherish it. Treat it just like you would treat your Orisha. Right?
Sure.
Love and value that person and love and value yourself. You know what I'm saying? I pray blessings upon everybody. I pray that you live long. I pray that your love continues to be a beacon of light for your community. That people look to you for sound advice. That whatever you're going through in your life, that it be healed. That Ayele, great mother of the earth, with a breast that can feed all. That she bless, protect you, and guide you, and champion you in every way. That the Orisha support you and guide you, but Egbe support, guide you, and protect you. You know, Egungun, that they stand for you, they champion you, and they support you. Ashewa.
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 Thank you so much, Genesis.
Ashe.
Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah. See if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place.